The boxing world is buzzing with anticipation as a blockbuster clash between Terence "Bud" Crawford and Saul Canelo Alvarez looms on the horizon, set to take place on September 13, 2025, in Las Vegas. This matchup has sparked intense debate, fueled by a recently resurfaced sparring video from July 8, 2025, showing a young Crawford, then a lightweight, being knocked down by middleweight contender Carlos Adams. The clip, which dates back to Crawford's early career when he was just 19, has stirred controversy, particularly after Canelo, the undisputed super middleweight champion, reportedly laughed upon seeing it. His reaction has added a psychological edge to an already heated rivalry, with fans and analysts dissecting every angle of this potential fight of the century. Crawford, widely regarded as one of the pound-for-pound best in the sport, has built a reputation as a defensive genius with exceptional boxing IQ. However, the leaked footage has led some to question his invincibility, especially as he prepares to move up to the super middleweight division at 168 pounds to challenge Canelo, a fighter known for his devastating power and vast experience across multiple weight classes. In the video, a then lightweight Crawford is seen struggling against Adams, who was fighting at around 160 pounds. While sparring sessions are often not indicative of a fighter's true ability due to their controlled nature, the sight of Crawford hitting the canvas has given critics ammunition to doubt his readiness for Canelo's size and strength. Canelo, a four-division world champion with a record of 63 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, including 39 knockouts, is no stranger to high-stakes battles. His resume boasts victories over elite fighters like Dmitry Bivol and Gennady Golovkin, and he became the first undisputed super middleweight champion in 2021 after defeating Caleb Plant. At 34 years old and standing 5 feet 8 inches, Canelo combines raw power with technical skill, making him a formidable opponent. His recent unanimous decision win over William Skull in May 2025 further solidified his status as a dominant force in the division. However, some observers argue that Canelo's prime may be waning, pointing to his reliance on fewer punches per round and a less aggressive style compared to his earlier years. Critics note that his last 6 fights have gone to decision, suggesting a decline in his knockout-driven dominance, possibly due to the wear and tear of a long career. The leaked sparring footage has amplified the narrative surrounding this matchup. Carlos Adams, who sparred with Crawford when he was a relatively inexperienced fighter, has been vocal about the encounter. In a June 2024 interview with Boxing 247, Adams dismissed the idea of a Canelo-Crawford fight as absolutely stupid, arguing that Crawford lacks the physicality to compete at higher weights. Adams recalled their sparring session from 2015, when he had only 2 professional fights and Crawford was still developing. Now, at 30 years old and a seasoned middleweight, Adams claims he would handle Crawford with ease, emphasizing the difference in power and maturity at 160 pounds or above. He drew parallels to Canelo's struggles against Dmitry Bivol at light heavyweight, where Canelo's punches lacked their usual impact against a larger opponent. Adams believes Crawford's welterweight power, while impressive, won't translate effectively against a fully developed super middleweight like Canelo. Despite the skepticism, Crawford remains unfazed. He views the fight as a legacy-defining opportunity, potentially the biggest in boxing over the last 2 decades. Crawford, who has already conquered the welterweight and junior welterweight divisions, aims to become the first undisputed champion in 3 weight classes in the 4-belt era. His confidence stems from his belief in his superior speed, reach, and boxing skills, even if Canelo holds advantages in size and power. Crawford has pointed out that while Canelo struggled when moving up to light heavyweight, losing to Bivol, he himself successfully moved up to 154 pounds and won. This, he argues, proves his ability to adapt to higher weight classes and overcome doubters. The tension between the 2 fighters escalated during a June 22 press event in New York, where a routine face-off turned physical. Crawford initiated the confrontation with a shove, prompting Canelo to respond with a forceful push of his own. The exchange, which required intervention from security and UFC President Dana White, was no mere publicity stunt. Both fighters appeared genuinely fired up, with Crawford smirking and Canelo visibly agitated, pointing and leaning in as he was pulled away. This altercation has only heightened the anticipation for their September showdown, with fans eager to see how the bad blood translates in the ring. Canelo's reaction to the sparring footage and the face-off incident reflects his confidence in his physical dominance. He has labeled the fight easy money, suggesting he would only entertain it for a massive payday, reportedly around $150 million. This financial incentive underscores the blockbuster nature of the matchup, which pits 2 of boxing's biggest stars against each other. Canelo's experience at 168 pounds and above, coupled with his technical prowess, makes him a daunting challenge for Crawford. However, some argue that Canelo's age and the cumulative toll of his 67 professional fights may be catching up with him. At 34 going on 45, as one observer put it, Canelo's pace and willingness to take risks may not match the hunger of younger fighters like Crawford. Crawford, for his part, has dismissed Canelo's taunts with sarcasm and swagger. When asked about the possibility of Canelo shoving him again at a press conference, Crawford jokingly said he'd cry like a baby, using humor to downplay the tension while projecting mental toughness. He has also questioned Canelo's resume, arguing that his victories over fighters like Victor Postal and Ricky Burns don't compare to his own achievements. Crawford's confidence is backed by those in his corner, including two-division world champion Andre Ward, who has boldly declared he'd bet the house on Crawford defeating Canelo. Ward acknowledges the significant weight jump but insists that Crawford's heart, fight IQ, and adaptability make him the favorite. He argues that no one has yet proven they can break Crawford's will, a testament to his mental fortitude. Shakur Stevenson, another elite fighter, has also vouched for Crawford's prowess, recalling a sparring session where Crawford stunned a heavyweight with a single punch. Stevenson's anecdote highlights Crawford's deceptive power, which he believes carries across weight classes. This contrasts with Adams' assertion that Crawford's punches won't have the same impact at super middleweight. The debate over Crawford's power versus Canelo's durability is a central point of contention, with analysts split on whether Crawford's technical brilliance can overcome Canelo's physical advantages. The build-up to the fight has been marked by bold claims from both sides. Crawford has called Canelo nothing special, suggesting he's past his prime and lacks the drive he once had. He points to Canelo's recent fights, where he's relied on decisions rather than knockouts, as evidence of his decline. Canelo, meanwhile, has dismissed Crawford's credentials, questioning the quality of his opponents and implying that the fight is only viable due to its financial appeal. Yet, both fighters recognize the historical significance of the matchup. Crawford sees it as a chance to cement his legacy as one of boxing's all-time greats, while Canelo views it as another opportunity to prove his dominance and add to his storied career. The contrasting styles of the two fighters add another layer of intrigue. Canelo is known for his punishing body shots and ability to cut off the ring, forcing opponents into close-quarters combat where his power can shine. Crawford, on the other hand, is a master of distance, using his footwork, speed, and counterpunching to outmaneuver opponents. Some argue that Crawford's style, reminiscent of Floyd Mayweather's in his prime, could frustrate Canelo, who struggled against Mayweather's defensive mastery in 2013. Canelo, however, has evolved since that loss, improving his head movement and ring generalship, as seen in fights against Danny Jacobs and others. The weight difference remains a critical factor. Crawford, naturally smaller, will be moving up from 147 pounds, welterweight, and a brief stint at 154 pounds to face Canelo at 168 pounds. While Crawford's skill set is undeniable, the physical toll of fighting a larger, stronger opponent could be significant. Canelo's ability to absorb punishment and deliver devastating blows, as seen in his knockouts of Sergey Kovalev and Caleb Plant, makes him a dangerous foe. Yet, Crawford's supporters argue that his ability to adapt, as demonstrated in his dominant performances against Errol Spence Jr. and others, will allow him to neutralize Canelo's power. Public opinion is divided on who will emerge victorious. Canelo's power and experience make him a formidable favorite, particularly given his success at super middleweight. His ability to land clean, heavy shots could overwhelm Crawford, especially if he closes the distance and traps him against the ropes. However, Crawford's boxing IQ, speed, and counterpunching could pose problems for Canelo, particularly if he exploits Canelo's slower pace and keeps the fight at range. The question of whether Canelo's power will trump Crawford's skill is at the heart of the debate, with no clear consensus among fans or experts. As the fight approaches, both fighters are leaning into the hype. Crawford has framed the bout as a chance to prove himself against the face of boxing, while Canelo sees it as another notch on his belt, provided the price is right. The financial stakes are enormous, with the fight expected to generate massive pay-per-view revenue. For Crawford, though, the motivation goes beyond money. A victory over Canelo would place him at the top of boxing's historical pantheon, a goal he's openly embraced. Canelo, meanwhile, aims to solidify his legacy as one of the sport's greatest by dispatching a pound-for-pound elite. In the end, this clash represents more than just a fight. It's a collision of two eras, two styles, and two indomitable wills. Whether Canelo's power or Crawford's IQ prevails, the boxing world is in for a spectacle that promises to etch its place in the sports history books.